They say that all good things must come to an end, and for SmackDown vs. Raw, it did in the form of 2011. 2011 is my favorite wrestling game of all time, so let's see how it holds up in 2025. SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 is one of those wrestling games that you can play for a long ass time and never get bored. It's very fun and addicting. See, it added a new physics system that now, for example, when you slam your opponent onto a ladder or any kind of foreign object, rather than just not reacting to it, they'll actually react to it and sell it, which is really cool. Same with the tables, you don't need a dedicated table move anymore to break it. Any move is capable of putting your opponent through a table. What's also cool is that it can break in any way and position, so say I put the table on the ropes or the apron, it'll still break all the same, which is really cool. I find that this change makes a lot of the more no DQ oriented matches more fun and chaotic, which is always a good thing for me in my wrestling games. I like chaos and fun. Getting the complaints out of the way, I only really have two, and that's the fact that for some dumbass reason they decided to remove the soundtrack, which I don't understand why they would do that, because the soundtrack was one of the best parts of this game series. I assume it came down to licensing, but I don't see why when all the previous games had soundtracks. And this would be the last WWE game to have a licensed soundtrack until 2K15. And my other complaint is the fact that the DLC has been scrubbed off almost every digital storefront. I believe that the DLC is still available in like Hong Kong or Japan somewhere. I heard that rumor a long time ago. I don't know if that's true or not. But most of the DLC has been scrubbed off almost every digital storefront. And plus, you need the dumbass online pass to get it anyway. I hate the online pass era with every fiber of my being. It stopped a lot of people from getting DLC like Lex Luger or the Nexus, which was really cool additions at the time, especially the Nexus, because this was the year that they debuted and were really white hot. I'm so glad that the online pass era is behind us and that shit like this doesn't happen anymore. Now that my complaints are all out of the way, let's talk about the good stuff about this game. The biggest new addition, arguably in the series history, is the Universe mode. It debuted here and it's lasted ever since. Even today, 2K25, Universe mode has still been in these games, which is amazing to me. See, this is before it became overly complicated to set up, and it's really simple here. It's cool too because at first all the arenas are locked, so how do you unlock them? Easy. Just play a match in Universe mode. It's that easy, which is really cool to me because it's not overcomplicated to unlock things in this game. Universe mode would go on, like I said, to be one of the biggest game modes in franchise history, and this is where it all started. Personally, the best Universe mode for me was WWE 12, with just how unique and crazy it is, but 2011's is still unique in its own way. See, sometimes before a match, maybe your opponent will jump you or your rival will get front row tickets to the match. The most random, bizarre things can happen, and you never know what's going to occur. Jumping into a match and selecting a character, we get the brand new Mortal Kombat style selection screen. It's very appreciated here, and I think it looks very clean and suits this game if I'm going to be honest. We also have a bunch of people making their roster debuts. Making their video game debuts are Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Alicia Fox, the New Heart Foundation, Luke Gallows, and Vance Archer, who proceeded to never appear in a WWE game again. This game also has a lot of really cool unlockables. Jimmy Snuka, Jake Roberts, even Rob Van Dam, who was in TNA at the time of this game's release, which is really cool. For the third year in a row, we have another Road to WrestleMania, and there's 5 storylines this time, but did you know that there was a cut 6th one? Yeah, writer Justin Leeper revealed that there was a cut storyline involving The Miz, and WWE themselves cut it. Assholes. Road to WrestleMania gets a big upgrade in the form of the backstage area. It's essentially a fully explorable hub with different locker rooms and superstars you can go talk to, and it's really cool. It does kind of feel like a third-person wrestling game if you really think about it. Now, of course, the current game, WWE 2K25, has a third-person camera, but this was like kind of the first time a wrestling game had done something like this to my knowledge, and it's really cool actually. Speaking of the storylines, the first one I selected was the Versus Undertaker one. Now, the game allows you to pick from real superstars like Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, and John Morrison, but it also lets you select your custom created character, so that's exactly what I did. In my own headcanon, I like to pretend that this is the same call from 2010's Road to WrestleMania, just a year later. But I don't know. They never explicitly say that, but that's just my own personal headcanon. But the versus Undertaker is my favorite in the game. It starts with a tournament, and you take on Randy Orton first, and you beat him. And I learned this recently, which is cool. If you go to talk to him after the match, he'll actually attack you, and you get into a backstage brawl with Randy Orton, which I think is a really cool Easter egg I never knew about. But pretty much you just win the right to take on Undertaker at WrestleMania, and he just doesn't take well to it. He attacks you, he plays mind games. There's one time when you get to the arena, the entire backstage has been like Undertaker-fied. I won't even lie, this scared the hell out of me as a kid, but now I think it's awesome. Paul Bearer even shows up, and it's funny because your character can see Paul Bearer, we the audience can see Paul Bearer, but everybody else can't see Paul Bearer.
You lost your mind, dude. You know that, right?
He has to compete in some matches against former WrestleMania opponents of The Undertaker, and then eventually you get to beat the crap out of him in your locker room. Only problem is it's got a 2-minute timer, and I failed on 3 attempts because of the timer, so that's nice. But it's fine. WrestleMania comes. It's your boy Undertaker. We tear the house down. It's a 5-star classic. It would have been 7 if it had more super kicks and at the Tokyo Dome, but it's fine, and I break the Undertaker's streak. There is an alternate ending if you lose where he turns you into a druid, but I didn't get this ending because I won. But this is my favorite storyline in the game. For the 3rd consecutive year in a row, we have a John Cena Road to WrestleMania. I get he was the face of the company, but Jesus Christ, 3 straight Road to WrestleMania storylines. It's actually a pretty good one. Now, of course, it has to be him feuding Randy Orton, because what else can you do at this point? What's also cool about it, too, is that MVP appears again, and he's involved with another Cena storyline, but he's actually a face this time. Him and Cena are boys. Orton's really good, too. He's his iconic 2010 heel self. But what's really cool is that he actually somehow becomes the Raw GM, and he makes Cena compete in those outrageous matches. Something that caught my attention when playing this was that they actually mentioned the Better Than Utopia rules from 2009. They directly reference it too, so it's like, okay, this is the same continuity, this is the same universe that takes place in, which is really cool. He even frames Cena to make him look like the bad guy. Before WrestleMania, Orton makes Cena and MVP compete in a match, and later he tells them to grab a steel chair and smack the other with it. Now, the game instructs you to do it, but you actually don't have to. You don't have to grab the chair, and the AI will actually do it for you. So, for me, MVP smacks Cena with the chair. Cena forces Randy Orton to let him in the title match, and we get to Mania, and of course, lol, Cena wins. Since returning to the company the prior year, Christian gets his own Road to WrestleMania storyline. It starts out with him being ECW champion, carrying ECW on his back, which was funny because by the time this game came out, ECW was actually dead as a company. Teddy Long ends up making a trade to get Christian on SmackDown, and once that happened, it pretty much becomes an Edge and Christian reunion. With the music, the crowd entrance, the goggles, everything. Christian wins the Money in the Bank briefcase and has the option to cash in on either Edge or Shawn Michaels. I chose Shawn Michaels because I didn't want to be a heel. And me and Shawn have a TLC match at Mania and tear the house down. Rey Mysterio's story starts with his car literally getting T-boned. And Rey is done. He's clapped. He's got amnesia and GG's for everybody. And all of a sudden, Jack Swagger becomes Rey's best friend, and they just run rush on SmackDown. Rey has officially lost his innocence. Now Swagger and Rey are boys. They go full situation and Ronnie being dicks at the club, and it's great. And everybody tries to tell Rey that Jack is using him. Eventually, Rey gets put into a fatal 4-way ladder match for the contract of a title match. Rey wins, and then Evan Bourne reveals the truth. And the game will actually let you choose to forgive Jack. Like, what the hell is that about? Why would you forgive someone who T-boned you? I've been through enough heel turns recently, so nah, fam. Later, we need to compete in a tag match, and who does Rey ask to be his partner? Mr. 420 Rob Van Dam. I still think it's really cool that they included him in this game when he wasn't under contract. Rey makes it to Mania and becomes world champion once again. Last, but certainly not least, we have the second Chris Jericho story. This one's really cool because you're the heel, you're not the babyface. And unlike SVR 2009, this is Suit Jericho. A lot of things go down here, from Jericho winning the US title and beating up the Big Show, or just straight up stealing the WWE title. And Triple H won't give him a title shot, and even putting Hunter through the Jarrettron 5000. It's a really cool storyline. Like Jericho being heel and just being that slimy scumbag heel he was from like '08 to 2010 is really cool to see here. It ends in a giant Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania, and this might be my second favorite storyline in the entire game. Overall, man, this game was just fun. I love this game to death, and just me personally, I think this is the best SmackDown vs. Raw title. What a great way to end a series of games. From 2004 to 2010, this series entertained countless gamers and wrestling fans, and many people still want it back. So in conclusion, I believe that SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 is the best in the series. It's been fun to look back at every single SmackDown vs. Raw game. Now, it'll only be done and I didn't announce the next review or whatever, but I actually have a bonus review in the works that I think you'll all enjoy. And with that being said, I'll actually see you in the next review. So, peace.